Have you ever been told by someone, hey, I would like to talk to you about something? What is the first thing that has come to your mind when someone has said that to you? I'm sure you've thought about, oh, is it something confrontational? Have I done something wrong? Or did I forget to do something I was supposed to do? Every time we hear someone say to us, I would like to have a word with you, or I'd like to talk to you, we always think of it in the negative connotation. But confrontation is something that is meant to bring things back into alignment. And when we have boundaries that have been crossed, we need to have that courage to confront that situation before it gets out of hand and takes away our power to actually live within boundaries that are healthy for our well-being. Confrontation is a word that in Latin means something that's very positive. So the Latin word for confrontation actually denotes turning your face towards something to give it attention. So when we talk about confrontation, we are talking about looking at a problem squarely and not avoiding the problem. And so when a boundary is broken, it's very important that we don't shy away from confronting the fact that we have been violated. It is believed that we all live in two worlds, okay? So in one world, we have friendly conversations where we do not want to offend anyone and we don't want any disagreements to happen in that space. And an example is a work relationship where you just want to remain professional and you don't want to step on anyone's toes. You just want to navigate your way through the day and just do your job and go home. In the other side of our world is where we have highly confrontational and conflict dominated conversations where we just lay it on the line, and we are not afraid in that space to call out things that we feel have caused offense to us. So there are those two worlds, and in the latter world, that is in a situation where you are dealing with a best friend or a close member of the family, like a husband or wife, and even your children sometimes. So there's these two worlds where we actually manage our relationships. So on this one side, you have connection without truth, because probably you're pretending and you're not wanting anyone to know the real feelings that you have about situations. And then on this other hand, you are very blatant and you're very open. And so you tend to spill out your truth without actually having a connection or destroying the connections that existed in that relationship. But God wants us to have that ideal space where we can have truth and maintain the connection. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 15 talks about speaking the truth in love. We are encouraged to speak the truth in love. So when you think of the second category that I talked about earlier, where you just speak your truth without connection, you can cause a lot of pain and hurt. You can be heard, you can say your truth, but you will leave people injured and devastated and probably lose the relationship altogether. And on the other hand, where you pretend you're okay when actually you feel violated, in this space you get frustrated and angry. So when we talk about Ephesians saying that we should speak the truth in love, this is where the two worlds come together and you have that balance that helps you sustain your boundaries and cause them to be effective both for yourself and the people that you are enforcing them against. So to bring that balance, we talk about grace and truth. Be gracious when you're expressing your disappointment, but also state your truth and how it really made you feel when this person broke your boundaries. Stay on task. There's a tendency to just lose track or to backtrack because of the response that we are getting from the other person. Stay on track. Stay calm. Still reaffirm the person and reassure them the conversation is for restoration and preservation of the relationship rather than pointing fingers and being judgmental. It's very easy to begin to derail. But if the person you're talking to begins to derail, hear them out, but again, redirect after they've made their point, redirect them back to why you're having the conversation, and it is to restore the boundary and to bring understanding around why that boundary is important, and to also preserve the relationship going forward. Express your feelings. Don't forget to do this, because it's very important for the other person to understand how they made you feel. Now, don't focus on thoughts. Focus on feelings. There's a difference there. Thoughts can overtake us so powerfully that we forget how we feel. So be in touch with your feelings and allow your thoughts to align with how you are feeling and how you felt at the time, and how you can express it to mean something to the person that you're talking to. Be specific with what you're trying to say. Don't beat around the bush, because people get confused that way. And we are all wired differently. If you're talking to a female, she might try to fill in the blanks. But good luck if you're talking to a male, because they think in a straight line. If you don't say what you mean, they won't infer it from what you are trying to say. So be specific and be on point and say, this is what I mean, and this is what I'm trying to say, and this is what I am asking you to do as a result of what I've told you. Affirm and validate the person that you're talking to, because they have their other side of the story as well. They may have looked at things differently. So validate their feelings based on what they have said to you. Sometimes they will explain themselves, and maybe they'll say they didn't know, or they didn't think that their breaking of that particular boundary would affect you this deeply. And so it is news to them, and so they have to come into reality now to know and understand that the boundary is very important to you and it needed to be honored. So validate their feelings around what you are saying, because they are entitled to their feelings, they're entitled to their opinion. The fact that they violated your boundaries doesn't relinquish that power for them to have their own perception, their own understanding, and their own behavior around certain things. So you can't change how they behave, you can't change how they respond to what you're telling them, but you can put in your truth and allow them to process it whichever way they want. Validate their feelings, validate their truth, validate what they're saying to you, but still stick with what you require to happen around your boundaries. Apologize for your part in the whole issue. It takes two to tango. We've heard that said so many times. You can't have a problem on your own. It always has to do with something else or someone else. So always be ready to apologize for your part of the issue. Even if you're the one whose boundaries have been broken, you could have done things better somewhere, somehow. So always look for where you could have done better and apologize. That way you bring the issue on a level playing field, and that person that you are confronting doesn't feel like they're already at the lower end of the stick as you begin the conversation. When you bring the conversation to a level playing field, you get better results, because the other person will feel honored and validated and respected, and they will see that your aim, like we said, is to restore the conversation and to remove that awkwardness between you and them. And don't forget to reinforce those boundaries after you've had the conversation about how you were disappointed, what you expected, how the violation of your boundaries made you feel. At the end of that conversation, don't forget to reinforce the fact that it is very important for that boundary to be upheld, because it brings the benefit of A, B, C, D to your life. Make it clear and plain why the boundary is important and why it is still there. Consistency, like I said, is very important. Make sure that that boundary is back up again and the conversation has been preserved. If you follow these simple steps, I guess if you're talking to a person that really, really values your relationship, they will come back in alignment into that level of relationship that you had before the falling out of the boundaries happened. So this has been Diana Fumbilwa. coach, speaker, trainer, and pastor. I will see you next time. God bless you.